What is up, boys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Ron from Fantasy Flow. Week 10 is upon us. We have a waiver wire video here. I'm going to be pulling up the waiver wire board for you guys, covering running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, and tight ends as per usual. Let me know how you guys did in week 9, man. I mean, did you happen to dodge Jackson Smith and Jigba or Saquon Barkley? Maybe you had Jackson Smith and Jigba or Saquon Barkley. Maybe you started DeAndre Hopkins, bro, after last night where he had 2 touchdowns, finally showing up for the Kansas City Chiefs. Looks like he's going to be the wide receiver one moving forward. So let me know how you guys did, man. I went up against Jackson Smith and Jigma in my main league. Absolutely brutal, dude. He body bagged me, put me in the hospital. But without wasting any more of your time, guys, let's hop into this video, dude. I'm going to pull up the waiver wire board as we usually do. Real quick before I head into it, if you do get some value or you enjoy this type of video, I'd appreciate a like, man. It helps out the channel. While you're down there, if you're new, hit me up with this. Hit me up with a subscribe. And let's hop into this, bro. We're going to start this as we usually do with running backs. I categorize this, or I segmented this into 2 categories. It's essentially handcuffs, bro. This is the week of handcuffs. And then you have a one random name, which is Khalil Herbert. Should say Herbert, who I think is going to get traded, right? So out of the handcuffs, I basically categorize them in the following ways. You have your high value dudes. It's Ray Davis. It's Kimani Vidal. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. It's Ray Davis, Kimani Vidal, and Blake Corum. Those are like the 3 dudes that are on very good offenses where we know that if they were to become the starters, they'd get pretty much all of the work, right? You can maybe make the argument that Blake Corum might share with Ronnie Rivers, which is weird because they keep starting or giving Ronnie Rivers work periodically throughout the season. But these are like your 3 dudes, right? And I just put 25% fab spend. That doesn't mean you have to spend 25. Doesn't mean you don't have to spend more, right? If you're in a sharp league where people are dropping stacks, you might have to spend more. But these are just like baseline amounts that I think you should have to spend if you want to get a guy like this. They're probably already taken, right? They're probably already sitting on people's benches at this point. But this is the time of the season where you really want to be picking up handcuffs. And honestly, from like a waiver point of view, there's not very many names. We didn't really have any like big running back injuries. We had a lot of wide receivers go down. So yeah, Trey Benson is another one where he actually looked pretty good in like the amount of work that he got. Keep in mind, Emery DeMarcado also looked pretty good. Also busted off like a long touchdown run. So if James Conner were to go down, I'm not too sure it's going to be only Trey getting the work. That's why I only put 5%. But then you have these other guys, Emmanuel Wilson, Ty Chandler on good offenses. Isaac Guerrero, we don't know if he's going to be the backup. It might actually just be Jordan Mason. But just pick these dudes up to see what happens. Jordan Mason's really been dealing with a lot of injuries, so we don't really know what's going to happen with him. Christian McCaffrey owners might be the happiest owners right now because we just heard that he's been practicing and it looks like he's going to play this week, but he's also the most fragile person to have in fantasy football, right? Like highest injury risk or highest re-injury risk. So Isaac Guerrero as well as Jordan Mason, if he happened to be dropped, probably not, but you definitely want to have him. Khalil Herbert's the dude on this list who's like kind of doesn't fit as like a handcuff, and I just think he's going to get traded, right? I think we're going to find out before you have waiver if you have a Tuesday night waiver wire or Wednesday morning, whatever it is for you. It's probably going to be too late because the trade deadline is literally today. So if Khalil Herbert gets moved, if your waivers already ran and it's open and you can just pick him up right now, I would. But we'll see what happens because he might not get traded. He might just stay on Chicago. Poor guy, dude. They made him have to look for his own trade. They're like, yeah, we give you permission to seek a trade. Like this, poor dude has to walk around with an iPad, going door to door and asking teams if they're interested, like with a fucking highlight reel video that has like Drake's Forever on it. And yeah, man, Braelon Allen's another one. I have him down here because he is a handcuff, but he's on a shit offense, to be honest. I mean, I wouldn't say the Jets are shit. It's just, I don't know if you're super excited about having to start Braelon, right? Like, I think even Brees Hall is struggling, right? So, Roschon Johnson, another one, just like, if Swift were to go down, Roschon would get pretty much most of the work, but I don't know if he would be really that great. I don't know if you'd feel that comfortable starting him. He'd get enough volume where you would, but Jalen Wright, another one, he's kind of trapped behind HN and Mostert, so I don't know if you even want to pick him up. But that's it for the running backs, bro. There aren't too many names this week. We're going to move on now to wide receivers, bro. And wide receivers, as I mentioned, there's a lot of injuries, so there's some new opportunities that have popped up. We're starting this at the top with Cedric Tillman, dude. If he is still on the waiver wire somehow, he shouldn't be. I've been talking about him since pretty much since Winston got the starting job. You have to spend 40% plus on Cedric Tillman. He's had 2 back-to-back weeks of 25 fantasy points, then 16 fantasy points. Jameis should be the starter the rest of the season. Looks like Cedric Tillman's going to be a weekly start rest of season. Xavier Legette as well. We see that he's pretty much the 1A now. Like he was highest first read amount on the team, ran the most amount of routes, ended up getting a touchdown. Like wheels up for Xavier Legette rest of season. Whether it's Bryce Young or Andy Dalton, I think you're pretty stoked about Xavier Legette. Jauan Jennings as well. Ayuk obviously done for the season, so Jauan Jennings been dealing with an injury, but when he's back, I think it should just be Jauan Jennings reprising that role that he used to have, right? And we saw that Jauan Jennings, when he is a full-time starter, is an absolute fantasy starter. Like he's an absolute stud. So Jauan Jennings, somebody that you definitely want to spend up on. These 3 guys kind of lead the list. Romeo, Doubs, and Jalen Tolbert, I have them in like 30% range. The thinking is essentially CeeDee Lamb has an AC joint sprain. He might not actually miss any games, but that's still, I would still pick up Jalen Tolbert from the Cowboys, and I think he's honestly like a start moving forward. Now, here's the problem. Dak Prescott's probably out for a few weeks, supposedly. So if Cooper Rush gets the start, I don't know if we're going to feel comfortable starting Tolbert either. We need to see him. The reason I have him as 30%, like I might even move him down to like the 20% range. But the reason I have him up here is because CeeDee Lamb injury, Cooper Rush, if he looks serviceable, I think Jalen Tolbert is going to be able to emerge. So that's why I have him. Romeo Doubs, you can make the argument he should be in the 40% range as well. Don't look too much at the fab spend, like 40% plus 30%. These are really just tiers, right? And I just have like basic dollar amounts. Like it could be way less in your league where people spend way less on average, and just adjust that for your league. But this should be like, let's say you have $60 left, you can drop 20, right? You can drop like 30% of what you got left. So that's kind of the thinking there. Romeo Doubs is somebody that it's just a tough offense to have pieces of because you never know who's going to pop off any given week. That's kind of the shitty part. But yeah, so that's the second tier. Third tier of dudes, I said this guy was a late week stash for me before week 9. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. That's 4 weeks in a row having a touchdown. He played over 90% of snaps again last week. He gets a touchdown again, and he gets enough targets to be serviceable. It's fucking kind of disgusting, but I think you'd probably start Nick Westbrook-Ikhine moving forward. I think you can even make the argument he should be up here, man. And then Demarcus Robinson, like, I don't know what Puka Nakua's situation is. I think he just had like a minor knee injury, and then he gets ejected from the game. So I think that's why Demarcus Robinson really popped off. But I just think a Matthew Stafford-led offense, you can always start like even the third option on the team. You can start any given week if you're in a pinch. So that's why Demarcus Robinson's like an interesting pickup, especially if Puka and Cup have a lot of Jesus Christ, have a lot of injury risk, re-injury risk. Yeah. So the fuck is this? Demario Douglas, he's on there too, just because like there's really no one else on that team, and he does get a lot of volume when he does play. Ricky Pearsall, you can like same kind of thesis with Jauan Jennings. He's somebody that he actually looked pretty good in the one game that he played. They had the bye week. Let's see, dude. Let's see if there's a post rookie or post bye week rookie bump, which is essentially like it happens every year where after the bye week, the teams kind of like they get their rookies more involved. They get their rookies a lot more invested into the playbook. They get like plays called up for them or drawn up for them. Like it's possible that Ricky Pearsall does see this little rookie or bye week bump. Jalen McMillan, I think the fucking dream is over with Jalen McMillan. He didn't look good this year to begin with. And then fucking surprisingly, 84-year-old Sterling Shepard actually was the number 1 guy. But that's with McMillan sitting out, don't forget. Alan Lazar is done for the season. He shouldn't even be here. Devon Vele, probably not worth it either. But if you're like in a pinch in a PPR league, he's somebody that could get some work. It's kind of just been the Cortland Sutton show the past couple weeks, but Vele and Franklin and those guys, like those tertiary pieces, the Broncos could turn to them at any point in the season where they're just like, all right, we're done with the vets. But yeah, you probably don't want Devon Vele, to be honest. Moving on now to quarterbacks. What do we got, man? So we got Bo Nix at the top, dude. If Bo Nix is still on your waiver wire, you definitely have to pick him up. At this point, he's a dual threat quarterback. They use him in gadget plays. He caught a touchdown last week. He didn't throw a touchdown or run a touchdown in, but he still had like 19 fantasy points. It's somebody you just have to pick up and start at this point. Russell Wilson actually has been looking good as the starter. He's looked decent. Kirk Cousins has one of the better rest of season schedules, like really easy schedule for quarterbacks moving forward. So Kirk Cousins is somebody that I actually really like. You can even spend way more than that. Baker Mayfield shouldn't be a free agent, but if he is, you definitely got to drop stacks on him. Like he's been like the quarterback 3 on the season, right? So you have to pick him up. That's it for quarterbacks. We don't have to spend too much time. Those are the spends. Tight ends, man. Tight ends, there's actually some exciting names. There's one more that I actually have to add that I did forget, and it is motherfucking Mike Gesicki, dude. The albino rhino, the white Dwight. Mike Gesicki had himself a day, dude, and I need to increase this to 20%. You guys are seeing the production happen in real time. K. Dotton heads the list. K. Dotton is a must add, must start, must pay everything you have on him because he's like literally the number one option. Here's the only problem that when Mike Evans comes back, that's probably going to change. He's not going to be getting like 9-10 targets a game. K. Don's basically getting like Travis Kelce type volume right now. It's insane, dude. Like K. Don is beasting and feasting right now. So Taysom Hill, I told you guys in one of my videos last week, not sure if anybody watched it that is here watching this video, but I told everybody that I would be starting Taysom Hill over Tucker Kraft last week, and I did do it, and I was fucking super stoked. Ended up pulling out a median win. I lost my matchup, but I got a median win. Yeah, Taysom Hill, basically, Chris Olave gets another concussion. It's like his 5th concussion in the NFL, like the second in the last like 2 months. There's a chance that Chris Olave doesn't play again this season. Like, if people were calling for Tua to retire, because Tua was like, pretty much sniffing glue. He was he's had so many concussions that, Tua Tagovailoa can't like taste food anymore. He's like smelling sounds. He's seen smells. Like Tua Tagovailoa is barely even a person, yet he's playing, and people were calling for him to retire. What are we saying about Chris Olave, dude? The guy just cannot stop getting concussions, and that means opportunity for Taysom Hill. We saw it last week. He's gadgety, dude. He throws a pass. He catches 4 passes. Like if you just take out the rushing touchdown that he got, just as a tight end from his receiving work, he went like 4 for 50. Like that he outscored a shit ton of tight ends last week, right? Just on that. Then you add the rushing work. You add the fact that they use him around the goal line. He's liable to like throwing a touchdown any given week because he also plays like quarterback. So Taysom Hill is somebody that I'd love when he's healthy. Essentially the rule, dude, it's like death, taxes, and start Taysom Hill when he's healthy. So I have both of these guys, Tucker Kraft and Taysom Hill. I think I might be starting Taysom Hill moving forward. He's just he has so much more upside at the moment. Like Tucker Kraft, the problem is that he just doesn't get enough volume, right? I know last week he was the number 2 tight end in the NFL in routes run. So only Brock Bowers, who, goddamn, dude, Brock Bowers. We missed Brock Bowers, dude. We missed him on the pre-draft rankings. I didn't know he was going to be such an absolute stud, but we should have saw it coming, right? We should have known that Devonta Adams would get traded. We kind of predicted that, but yeah. So I have both of these guys. I'll probably be starting Taysom Hill in most matchups, dude. Like as much as I love Tucker Kraft and I have him here as 50%, like I just think Taysom Hill has so much more upside because he can score in so many different ways. And then Mike Gesicki, as I mentioned, the guy gets 2 touchdowns last week. The albino rhino, the white Dwight, gives us one of the worst gritties I've ever seen again. I think twice in that game. There's a there's a video where he's doing the gritty and Jamar Chase starts laughing at him. Like he's literally laughing behind him as he's doing it. Hunter Henry remains very involved. I refuse to give this man a 20. I gave him a 19%. You got any regulars of the channel know my feelings toward Hunter Henry. Fuck Hunter Henry, dude. As soon as you start him, he'll do nothing for you. And then you drop him, and then he pops off, dude. And that's just Hunter Henry. But at this point, with the quarterback change, with how they do change to Drake May, he's been involved, bro. He's been involved for like 3 weeks in a row. So he's somebody that you might have to pick up and start. And Zach Ertz is always somebody that, he's going to get you like 4 or 5 targets. He has a chance to get a touchdown any given week. Just a good offense you want pieces of. that's the waiver wire video, bro. We don't have to spend too much time on it. Not the craziest week for waivers, to be honest. It's kind of a little bit of a dry week. We have like some wide receiver injuries, but no like immediate starters that are going to emerge from it. Like AJ Brown has like a weird little injury, but I don't think you're going to trust like Jahan Dotson, right? Like it's just going to be Smith and Saquon pretty much. So that's it for the video, bro. Hope you guys like it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would super appreciate a like and a subscribe if you're new. And if you want to catch more of my videos moving forward, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.